Property auctions are one of the most misunderstood parts of the property market. Some people see them as risky, and others see them as where the real opportunities are. And the difference isn't luck, it's understanding the process. This video isn't going to be theory, and it's not shortcuts. This is a full practical walkthrough of how auctions actually work. It will tell you where beginners get caught out, how experienced buyers filter deals fast, how they review legal packs, how they set a maximum bid, and of course, the most important, how they stay calm on the day of the auction. It's split into 5 clear sections with real examples and real tools along the way, so you know where you are and what comes next. If you want to approach auctions with clarity instead of emotion, this will give you the framework. Let's start at the beginning with the truth about auctions. So this is what you're going to learn. You're going to actually learn how auctions really work, how beginners get burnt, how to identify good deals fast, how to calculate your maximum bid, very important, how to keep calm and zen when you're bidding, when you're doing all this work, and how to complete without panic. And really, that last one is where most people get bitten. So pay attention and make sure you get that bit complete. Now, we're going to start off straight into it. No BS. It's going to be part 1, and it's the truth about auctions. Auctions are high risk by design. You can lose thousands of pounds in minutes. The risk is real, but when you learn which parts of the process are risky, you can control those outcomes. And the fear of auctions, why people don't buy and why people don't sell at auctions, all comes from ignorance. It's not auctions themselves. It's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of insight. So we're going to get clear on this today. So stick with me. This is what auctions really are. Auctions are liquidity events. What that means is it's the selling of property. That's the pure process of auctions. It's not like estate agents where they stick the pretty pictures in the window and it sits there for 6 months. There is a job to be done here with auctions. And these transactions, maybe there's 2.5 weeks of marketing, maybe there's 3. But at the end of that, you're going to have 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to complete. Okay? This is built for the seller's speed and certainty. That's why the sellers are going to auction, because whatever situation they're in, they need it to be an unfettered environment. That means anyone can bid as long as they have the money and they've done their due diligence and they've got their IDs. They need that certainty and they need speed. There is a pressure that is pushing them forward in order to go through to the auctions. The auctions are not necessarily designed to give buyers big bargains, huge discounts. That's not what auctions are. Auctions are buying a property that has got the right kind of things going on with it, where you can buy it at a value, where you're able to add value, you're able to make money. And at the end of the day, the seller's motivations and your motivations, if handled correctly, will beat the valuation that has been given for that property. Why beginners get hurt? Mainly, what happens is you are unprepared, right? It's all last minute. You know, you saw the property 2 days before the auction. There was no chance to view it internally. You haven't read the legal pack. You don't want to miss out on the opportunity. So now you become emotional about getting the deal and making things happen. You look at the guide price and you think that the guide price means something. Maybe the guide price is connected with the value of the property. Maybe the guide price is connected with, what the seller needs the property to sell for. Yeah. And then you'll have some kind of false belief that if you make a mistake, there's going to be someone there to pick up the pieces. Spoiler alert, there is nobody there to pick up the pieces for you. There's expensive litigation, but there's no one really to pick up the pieces. So let's just get this out the way nice and early, right? Very, very basic stuff, but this is the beginner's guide. This is the dummy's guide to auction. So what is the guide price? The guide price is a marketing tool. It has no relation to value. It has no relation to expectation of sale price. And in the modern day, it has no relation to where the bidding is going to start. It is just a number to attract you in. Yeah? And that follows on to the next point. It is often set low to create that competition. If you're in an area where the average price for a 2-bedroom flat is £200,000, and then something comes on the market for £75,000, you're going to ignore all the ones at 200 and you're going to focus on the one at 75. And that's how this works. Now, bit technical, the reserve price. The reserve price is the minimum price at which a seller will accept a price. This is generally higher than the guide price. That can be limited by only a 10% maximum band it can be above. And that price can change on the day of the auction. Now, if it changes too far, the guide will have to move with it, and there's a couple of technical things that have to follow, but it's the reserve price that is really where a deal can happen. And obviously, if there's competitive bidding, a price above the reserve is what will be needed, or the price and above reserve is what will be needed for a deal to take place. Now we understand what the auction is, what the sellers, what the guide and reserve is. Now we need to figure out what the motivation is, because it's the motivation that creates the opportunity for buyers. You're looking at repossessions. They're motivated for getting their capital back and trying to get some capital on top for their borrower. Probate, these are people that have gone through a loss in their family. They're looking for closure. They're looking to get this dealt with. Chances are they're probably paying some kind of inheritance tax. Chances are there's a ton of beneficiaries that just want their money. These are kind of motivated situations. Councils and housing associations have been selling off stock that is aged. That means properties that need refurbs have additional costs that they cannot stomach. Perfect opportunities for buyers. Landlords offloading problems. Now, a problem for one landlord is paradise for another landlord, yeah? Landlords that are aging, looking to exit the market, everything feels like a problem. Everything looks like a problem. But if you're looking with the right lenses on and you're paying attention, there are deals to be done there. Traders recycling stock. We're traders. We recycle stock all the time. And what they do is they bring properties that don't come to the market onto the market. So traders are providing a very, very particular and respected process for the property industry. It's very much at the bottom of that pyramid, yeah? And there are benefits to being a trader. And those benefits come in the forms of stamp duty exemptions, not really paying capital gains. There's really, really cool things that go on there. And really, the other motivation that you have is where fast completions are necessary, right? And that fast completion needed is normally people who are running at the end of a bridge. They haven't got other finance lined up, or they've gone into, additional fees in a bridge that they've taken on, or, divorce or whatever. They need this sold quickly, right? So fast completions are needed. That's the seller motivation. And there are opportunities there as well. Remember, motivation isn't necessarily desperation, but motivation does equal leverage. And leverage is what you need in order to create opportunity. Now let's look at what a safe deal is for a beginner. Okay, this is what it looks like. You're looking for something super easy. That means it's a clean title. That means it's a full title guarantee. Yeah. Vacant possession. So either the property is currently vacant or at the point of completion, it will become vacant. It's standard construction. Yeah. It maybe needs a light, straightforward refurb. So we're not talking about back to brick and extensions and taking a roof off and putting a new one on. We're talking brighten it up, smarten it up, get it rented, get it resold, whatever it is. You found this property and there are loads of comparables, right? This is a 3-bedroom terrace house. There are 25 recent 3-bedroom terrace house, same floor plate, same size, all sold in the last 6 months, giving you real strong indications of the market transactions, the market value, and where your price needs to be. No complex tenancies, yeah? If it isn't vacant or vacant possession, you don't really need to be dealing with life tenancies, assured tenancies, regulated tenancies. You just need to avoid all of that. It's mess. And you can clearly identify what the seller's motivation is. If it says it's a probate, it's a probate. You know what the motivation is. If it says that, it's been in the same ownership for 36 years, it's previously let by a landlord, it's a retiring landlord. So understand the seller motivation. This is all safety, right? This doesn't, once you tick all these boxes, it doesn't remove your need and your necessity to review the legal pack, to view the property, to do all of these things. You still take those necessary steps. But this, as a criteria for a beginner, Chef's kiss. This is perfect. Red flags. These are things to avoid completely as a beginner. Now, short leases, okay? Unless you know about Leasehold Landlord Tenant Act, all the changes, how the structure of the Section 42 works and all of those types of things, you've got a specialist solicitor and the surveyor and you've priced it in, you know what you're about, stay away from short leases. And a real short lease is anything under 50 years. But if you don't really know how these things work, do not touch anything under 80 years. Yeah. Unclear tenancy rights. Do you know the difference between a regulated tenancy and a life tenant? Do you know the difference between those? What the statutory responsibilities are? You know, these are important things. What an assured tenancy is. Yeah. Knowing those differences will save you a lot of money, but if you know nothing about them, stay away from them. They're difficult to fund, they're difficult to deal with, they're just difficult. Structural problems. Now, if you're not an expert mason and you don't know what the fabric of a building should look like, if it has cracks, if the walls look uneven, if there's bulging, if there's, smells, if the roof looks like it's bowing in the middle, use your eyes. Yeah. You need to be looking very clearly at these things. Structural problems, stay away from them. And that could be anything. That could be walking outside the property and seeing uneven paving stones in the front or the rear garden. These are problems. Is the access unclear, right? Are you buying a flat above a shop and there isn't a door at the front for access? Okay, is the access around the side? Is it through another road? How are you accessing it? These things are important. And those things will also affect mortgage valuations and end values and who will be buying them. Are you buying a piece of land with an overage or a covenant on there that says if you get planning in the next 80 years, you have to pay the person who you bought it from a portion of that profit, right? Before you've even built it. Is the legal pack incomplete? Now, this is one of the biggest red flags. It's one of the hardest things for people to answer because what does a complete legal pack look like? Now, if you haven't got a solicitor and you don't know what steps to take, you can use technology. So you can look at a company like DocuWise and say, put the legal pack in, and that will tell you, it'll give you a review of the legal pack, not legal advice, but a review. And it will make points about, oh, this is missing. You should look at this. You should ask this question. So use technology to kind of level yourself up. Yeah. But incomplete legal packs are really problematic. The more deals you look at, the more things you see in legal packs, the more you get a feel for what should be in there, what's missing, what's unnecessary. These are really important skills to build up as a beginner. And it costs you nothing apart from your time. So we are now at the end of part 1, and this is your summary, right? Why do auctions feel dangerous? Well, you don't know enough about them. And what you have heard are just scaremongering things. Ignorant things from ignorant people, ignorant of the process and the situation, how it works. You are now not really that much of a dummy when it comes to auctions. You're starting to learn. So why they feel dangerous. How guides and reserves work. We have completely changed the face of what a guide price means and how the reserve works. Why motivation matters. You now understand that a seller isn't just selling at auction because something's wrong with the property. They have a motivation. Understanding that motivation tells you how to price things and how to behave. Really important. We've told you what safe really means. Yeah. We've told you these are the things that make a deal safe. Have those in the back of your mind when you're looking. And we've given you the 5. What to avoid at all costs. Yeah. If you don't have the knowledge and experience in these different things, avoid them at all costs. You're not going to be the hero here. Yeah. And even if you were, no one's going to thank you for it. So just to recap, why auctions feel dangerous? They're not. You're going to learn why they're not throughout this whole process. How guides and reserves work. We've completely disemboweled you of any of illusions there. Why motivation matters. It really, really matters. What safe looks like and how to avoid certain costly mistakes as well. So let's move on. So we've decided to take a close look at this one. And to be honest, this lot is coming up in a few lots of time. So the next step, click on the legal pack. We're going to download the legal pack. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to employ a piece of technology called DocuWise. And what DocuWise does is it will take all of this information, collate it using AI and some other kind of functions and finger-fangly things that are way beyond my knowledge or comprehension. So we'll download the whole thing, and then we will upload onto DocuWise. What DocuWise will do is it will take all of that information at a speed that we wouldn't be able to do it, and it will summarize it for us. So then what we'll do is before the bidding gets to this one, we will have a quick look at the summary. If there's anything in there that worries us, anything in there that kind of makes us think, this bit of work needs to be done, that bit of work needs to be done. Obviously, in real time for you guys at home, you'd be doing this a week before the auction.
So at this point, we've downloaded the legal pack and uploaded it into DocuWise. Now this summary from DocuWise isn't legal advice, and it's not replacing a solicitor. But what it is doing is giving us fast, structured review so we can decide whether this deal deserves more time and money. And this report usually takes a few minutes to generate, depending on the size and complexity of the pack. That's time you would otherwise spend manually trawling through documents you may not even fully understand yet. So once the summary is ready, this is what you get. It's clearly broken down into sections, so you immediately see what matters. Section 1 is the title section. It's about who owns the property, what charges are registered, whether there are any restrictions or unusual titles, unusual issues on the title. And this is where a lot of expensive problems tend to hide. Okay, then the next section is tenure and management. It's whether it's freehold or leasehold, any management arrangements, and key warnings like fire safety, cladding issues, EWS1 forms, and things like that. For a beginner, this is incredibly useful. Okay, then you've got section on tenancies. So instead of digging through multiple tenancy documents and tenancy agreements, this summarizes who's in occupation, on what terms, and what you need to be aware of. That saves a lot of time and avoids assumptions. Then there's also planning section, and most importantly, additional fees. That's the section where all the things that hidden or listed in the special conditions and hidden out of the main view of the auction lot are. And those fees include things such as buyer fees, legal fees, rental fees. In this specific example of this property that we're reviewing, it includes 1,500 plus VAT for reimbursement of legal fees, £5,000 reimbursement for rental fees, and then also a buyer's fee payable to Allsop, which is one of the three of those. So this is a residential auction with a purchase price above 10,000. So the buyer's fee in that case is £2,000 inclusive of VAT. So you actually have almost £9,000 of extra fees payable based on this review, and that's literally something we got to within minutes. And the good thing about AI is it doesn't tend to miss most of the stuff that human eye can make. Then we are on to the completion section, which lists completion times and deadlines, so you know upfront whether this is a 4-week, 6-week, or longer completion, and whether that works for you. Then you have another section which is about clauses, indemnities, and missing information. One of the most useful part is that it highlights what's missing. Sometimes the biggest risks aren't what's included, they are what isn't. Things like asbestos report, things like certain electrical certificates, or certain things that are expected to be in the park but are not, and the lack of them will or might cause issues. And then overall, this is where the real value is. If you're a beginner, you're reviewing a lot of deals, this helps you decide whether it's worth going further, whether it's worth investing more time, more resources into this property. You are going to be asking yourself a question: is this something I should now pass on to my solicitor for full legal review, or should I walk away? And this is basically a test for whether you should walk away or not. On a complex lot like this, a full solicitor review can easily cost £1,000 plus VAT, and this lets you filter things first, and you pay about £75 plus VAT if you're buying just a one-off review. And if you want to get 50% off your first purchase, just use the code HAMMERED in the checkout section, and we'll put the instructions on how to do it, how to take advantage of this in the description of this video.
So part 2 of a dummy's guide to buying at auction. So this is an important one. How do you identify good deals? Okay, we're going to go through this. And we're just going to deal with some basics here, yeah? Filtering deals to remove overwhelm. Step 1, too many lots is normal. A standard auction catalog now is what, 50 lots to 350 lots? There are 300 plus auctioneers in the country. You do the math. There's like 3,000 to 5,000 properties every month. There are too many lots. It's normal. So when you factor in that it's normal that there are too many lots, it then removes the expectation internally that you have to review every single lot you see. You don't. This leads us on to point number 2. You need to filter the deals, and you need to do it fast. I can go through a 350 lot catalog in 45 minutes, and I can filter that out very quickly. Yeah, I'm going to show you how to do that. Most lots should be skipped. That's the bit that no one really focuses on. You're trawling, you're paying all this time and attention. The reality is, after you see 1 or 2 points of information, it should be a turn of the page, scrolling down, clicking onto the next lot. Whichever way you're doing it, it should be a move straight over, right? These aren't missing out on opportunities. These were never opportunities for you to begin with. They're suitable for somebody else, someone else's strategy. We're going to be focusing on what's important for you, okay? So let's start. This is our statement. This is what we look at. This is what we look for. This is where good deals come from. Banks and receivers. Yes, the completion times are far smaller. It's a quicker time to complete. Yes, it's a limited information puzzle. There's less information, but that scares everybody off, which means it leaves you to deal with the opportunity. Probate estates. You know who you're dealing with. This is probably someone who lived in the property for many, many years. Very, very simple stuff. Probably needs to be smartened up. So perfect for you. BRRRR people, yeah? You're going to love a bit of the probate stuff. Councils and housing associations. These are legitimate sellers, right? They've got corporate governance. They have to behave in a certain way, yeah? And these properties are being sold because the cost to them to do the works is too much, right? Someone has to report the issue. Someone has to raise an appointment to go and view it. Someone then has to say what needs to be done. So there's a report. Then someone has to acquire the items, a leaky tap, well, not a leaky tap, you're replacing a leaky tap. Maybe it's also a light bulb. Maybe it's a bit of architraving. Maybe it's a new window, whatever it is. By the time a council and a housing association has done all of that, before they even fit it, it's cost thousands of pounds. So they sell it to us, traders, investors, who don't have all of that red tape, that whole process. We go in, we make a list, we pop down to Screwfix or B&Q or whatever we do, and we buy the stuff and we fix it, yeah? Perfect people to buy from. Landlords exiting stock, right? It no longer works for them. The game has changed so much. They're tired. They're not getting the right yields anymore because they're not reinvesting into the property. Now, this is the opportunity for you. You invest into that property, you add value, the rent goes up. All of a sudden, the deal starts to make sense again. Then you have traders recycling inventory, right? A trader buys something, they sell it. 99% of the time, they don't even view the property that they bought, but they're bringing it to market, and that's a great opportunity for you to buy. If you've been slogging in the direct-to-vendor market, sending out letters, the traders have that stock. They're putting it into the auctions. So look out for those. Pay attention for those. Then you have the sellers needing certainty. They need speed and certainty. Something in their lives is out of control. Something in their lives isn't working, and they need to exit that deal. Normally, it's motivated by emotion or their need for money, yeah? Or the fact that they they've got a mortgage coming to an end and they can't afford the new payments, whatever the story is, right? The thing to remember here is the deal is only as good as the motivation. So you need to understand the motivation of these 6 types of good deals, where these good deals come from, who these sellers are. And this is important. You have to understand the value. You have to understand the process. So we're going to go through how a lot reaches the auction. Yeah. It normally starts with the seller needing an outcome, needing speed, and they need speed because they need the outcome fast. Yeah. They set the guide to attract interest. You've seen it all the time, right? You've seen properties that look too expensive to be an auction. That's where the vendor hasn't got the motivation. They haven't listened to the auctioneer. And you see the ones that look absolutely amazing and, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a great deal. You're going to pick it up. Yeah. They then move on to getting the legal pack prepared and listed so that the people who have seen the property are attracted by the guide price can now do their research. It's a short marketing window, okay? It's 2.5 to 3 weeks on average. There are viewings, make sure you get down to the viewings. And if there are no viewings, there are opportunities in not having viewings either. Then comes the bidding day. This is the process. So when you understand that this is the process that people go through, you can then start looking at where there are value gaps here, yeah? Did the legal pack turn up late? Value gap. Were there enough viewings or were there no viewings? Value gap. Yeah. Did it come into the auction as a late entry? Value gap. These are all environments that detract away from the property selling for the best price and creating value for you as the buyer. Now, I did say I was going to teach you the 60-second deal filter. Yeah. Very, 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 very quick. 6 questions that you're asking yourself. Where is it? Do I know the area? Is it a good area? Can I transact in that area? No? Move on. That's not the deal for you. What is it? Is it a house or a flat? Okay, I don't buy flats because I don't like leaseholds. It's not the deal for you. Move on. Condition. Is it brand new, sparkling, gold taps and marble everywhere? Well, you want to add value by a refurb. It's not for you. Move on. Is the seller motivated? Do they have the type of motivation that suits you wanting to get the deal done? Yes or no? No? Move on, right? Does the guide make sense, right? Is it too expensive or is it far too cheap? And being on either side of those is not great. You want to be somewhere in the middle where you know you're going to find value. So if it doesn't make sense, move on. Is there a clear value add angle, right? Are you buying 3 shops and 3 flats? And is the value add simple, right? Do I get the commercial rents up? Are they underpaid? Are they not paying the right kind of value? And do I just sell the flats off and just be left with the commercial for free? Do I title split? Do I do a lease extension? Do I do a refurb? Do I solve a complex legal matter, which isn't actually that complex if you've got the right legal advice? Nice, quick and simple. You should be able to move through a deal on a page in 60 seconds because the reality is not every property on every page or every click through is going to get you past question 3. Most of them won't even get you to question 4. If you cannot answer those first 3 questions in under 30 seconds, then you are not ready to transact yet. Okay, so get really, really good at asking yourself the first 3 questions and then following up with the last 3 questions. It will change your life. It will mean that you're not going to be focusing on deals that you're never going to do. You're never going to get distracted, right? Because there's shiny pennies everywhere. Focus, get through the catalog. When you have your short list of 5 or 6 properties out of a 300 lot catalog, that's when you go back and deep dive. But just clear the way. Just get that kind of there are too many lots to go through, stagnation in your mind where you're just going to stop. Get through it quickly, then go back round for the second deeper dive into the due diligence, yeah? This is the 60-second deal filter in action, okay? We are looking at the Allsops catalogue. This is lot number 30. So this is Jasmine Court, 14 to 16 Rotherhithe, New Road in Rotherhithe. That's SE16. It's a high value area. And what we have here is a freehold unbroken block of flats. Now, straight into the deal filter. Do we like SE16? Where is it? Yes, we do like SE16. What is it? Do we like a freehold block of flats, income producing? Yes, we do. We carry on. Condition-wise, We're not 100% sure on the condition, but we're being fast and furious here. The fact that it's fully let tells us it's in a lettable condition. So we'll take that as an assumption going forward. Seller type. Allsops are very good at kind of pointing out the type of seller. They've offered a 6-week completion. So we're going to operate from the fact that we're dealing with either a professional landlord, a corporate. We're not going to assume it's a trader just yet. It's being dealt with by Stuart DeGea, so we're assuming no trader. Okay. Does the guide make sense? Now, as you can see here, the guide is 1.4 million and the income is £108,960. So on a yield basis, the guide doesn't make a great deal of sense, but we're now thinking on point number 6, right? The 6 points. This is the 6th point. What is the value add? Now, it doesn't work on guide. We know that. People are looking at picking up things like this on a 10% yield. This is very far from a 10% yield. So what do we need to do to make this deal make sense in under 60 seconds? We look at breakup value. What are the individual parts of this worth? Can you take 5 flats and make them worth more than 1.5 million, for instance, if you break them up and sell them off individually as long leaseholds? We're going to find out. Do they just need a refurb and maybe increasing the rents? Is that how you get to a 10% yield? So these are kind of the quick pro questions that we're asking ourselves to decide whether do we now do a deep dive? Because we've got all the way down to point 6 with some guesses, and we're happy to do more on the back of that. Lot 31 is withdrawn. 9 Yemen Road. Yemen? It's not Yemen, it's 9 Yeoman Road. The 60-second filter works better if you can do it in 60 seconds, okay? So saying the name of the road is really important. Where is it is important. This is Northolt. This is UB5. We know the area. What is it? It is a freehold mid-terrace house, and it looks like it's a 3-bed. It has a front. It has a rear garden. It has a garage to the front. It's really close to Northolt Underground Station. It's kind of on that central line. This is kind of the thing that we're looking at. So now, does it make sense? It is saying vacant possession. That's concerning when there's a metal grate over the door. It's guided at 287. Do we think a freehold mid-terrace house in Northolt is worth more than £287,000? We do. We are assuming that the type of seller is probably some kind of repossession based on the fact, housing association. Okay, we've been instantly recorrected. Is housing association sale. This is a good seller to buy from. It will mean that the property is in a fairly decent standard build condition. It's an integral garage, as we can see now that we've got a zoom up. And what you find with these types of buildings that people retrospectively go in to remove that garage and put another habitable space, a secondary reception room or bedroom or whatever. So we like where it is. We like what it is. Just having a quick glance at some of those pictures, it looks like it's in a basic condition. You're seeing housing associations sell these quite regularly because it's not worth them doing the refurb. We like the type of seller. The guide makes sense. And the clear value add here is really simple. Go through, light refurb, make it light, make it bright, and maybe convert the integral garage into another habitable space. So 60 seconds, we'll look at this in more detail and we'd probably aim to bid. Okay, next, lot number 33, 27 to 33 Grange Mountain, Prenton. This is Merseyside. I mean, it's a Cheshire postcode. And it's vacant freehold buildings. It's arranged to provide a total of 17 self-contained flats and 1 office unit. It's huge, 10,000 square foot, almost 11,000 square foot, and there is parking to the rear of the building, and it is guided at £325,000. Where is it? Do we know Prenton well enough? We don't personally know Prenton well enough. It's being sold by a fund, so we like the fact that there are 18 units. It's 18 units in total, 17 resi, 1 commercial. The condition looks a bit grim on the inside if we take a look at some of those images. But what do we expect for £325,000? Okay, it's boarded up, looking like it may have been some kind of temporary accommodation housing, just a guess. Needs work. Okay, condition. So we like where it is. Technically, we don't know exactly where it is, but it's in a place that's in the UK. It's Merseyside. What is it? We like the multi-unit. We like how big it is. The condition. The condition is leading us into what is the clear value add. The seller type is a fund. We like funds as sellers. They don't really optimize at the point of sale. Does the guide make sense? The guide does not make sense. The guide is unrealistically low. Even if Prenton is a low value area, even if you were to attribute, a £25,000 per unit value, this is massively below value. It is vacant. It needs work. And what are the clear value adds? The clear value adds are to go through, do a light refurb on each unit, get it let, get it yielding, and get it put into your portfolio. So we will be paying closer attention to this. This might be something we won't bid on because we don't know the area ourselves, but should we recommend it if you are in Merseyside, in the Cheshire area, that looking at something like that could make sense. Lot 34, withdrawn, Marylebone. We can move on. What do we have here? Raised ground floor medical unit at... Okay, so, yeah, sorry. Okay, lot number 35. It's Marylebone. It's a medical unit. It doesn't pass our first 2 points. Those are things we're not interested in. We're moving on. Lot 36 is missing from this list, magically. So lot number 37 is next. This is a long leasehold share freehold ground floor flat in South Kensington. Where it is, what it is, not for us. We'll move on. Lot number 38, we are in Streatham. We like Streatham. Freehold detached building. This is a... What is this? £900,000. No, this is not for us. Where is it? What is it? Not for us. But it's reduced. We do like it when it says reduced. That's a good sign. There's motivation. I've been pulled back into the conversation. Condition is looking average to poor. We are... What is the description of this? Have they said that this is a... Okay, all right. You know what? The fact that the auctioneer cannot say this is a 3-bedroom this is a commercial this is this, it's the forge it's called. So ground floor, reception room. You know what? This is not for us. Just move on from lot 38. It's a pain in the ass. This could be something that's valuable for somebody else, but this auctioneer is wasting our time by not being able to accurately describe what it is that they're offering to us. That's a lesson the auctioneer needs to learn. Lot number 39. Okay, we are in Sandy in Bedfordshire. This is an SG postcode. What is it? Freehold terrace house, 3 bedrooms, benefits from blah, 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 6-week completion, decent size, £190,000. So yes, we do like Bedfordshire. We do like what it is. We do not know the internal condition. The price makes sense. Vacant upon completion makes it sound like it may not be for us. So move on from lot 39. We're going on to lot 40. 4 adjoining freehold terrace mews houses in Neasden. So we like Neasden as an area. NW10 is a good location. We like what it is. These are 4 mews houses. These are good. And these are huge for mews houses. 2 3 beds and 2 4 beds. £1.35 million. £176,000 worth of income. It looks good as a yield. It looks good as a breakup. The guide makes sense. The breakup for us is probably where the value is. We will look at this one. This one does make sense for us. And because I think lot number 36 was missing, we'll go to lot 40A and take a look here. This is a substantial detached former office building with potential for development, 1.7 million in High Wycombe. This is not for us. And that's us done. 10 lots in under 10 minutes. Okay, viewer discretion is necessary. I have looked at these 10 lots through my eyeballs. What we're looking at, what we find valuable, what we would look at as value adds, our areas, our price range. Okay, I'm not dismissing them because they're bad deals. That last one in High Wycombe, you could be a commercial to residential developer and you look at that salivating, thinking of all the possibilities that are there for you. You could have been looking at that little office unit, the medical unit in Marylebone, and thinking, actually, that's a great opportunity for me. But the idea of going through this video is, what is it? Where is it? Condition, seller type, Does the guide make sense? Is there a value add? So when I'm reviewing these things, I'm doing it from what works for me. When you're reviewing it, you need to be focusing on what works for you. But you've seen how easy and how quick we can dismiss or decide to take further action on a property in under a minute, in under 60 seconds. So take the idea, take the structure, and apply it to your own deals, your own mindset, and your own return possibility. What to check on viewings? Now, I don't recommend spray painting the ceilings at the viewings, but what you should be doing is looking at the structure and the damp. You can get one of those little damp meters, like less than £20, stick it in the corner of the bathroom or the kitchen, or where something looks like it might be a bit moldy, and get an idea there. Are the utilities connected? Well, you can tell that by turning on a light or flushing the toilet. Simple. Check the condition of the roof. Now, I don't recommend that you take a full ladder and you go up and you start knocking on tiles on the roof. But just take a look. Are there cracked tiles? Are there missing tiles? Is the roof bowing in? Is there lots of moss on the roof? Do the gutters look packed? Like, just have a proper look. Use your eyeballs. It's important. Yeah. Location and neighbors. Does the house look really nice, but does it back onto a pub, right? Has it got antisocial elements to it? Do the neighbors keep their front garden clean? Are the bins put away? Looking with your eyes, getting a sense of quality for the environment the property's in. Check the electrics and the heating. Have a look at the very, very first thing that you're likely to see when you move into most modern buildings is there a switchboard that has like all of the different bits and pieces? Is it modern? Does that board look like it needs to be replaced, right? Is it modern electrics? Is it modern heating? Is the access to the property easy? Can you clearly define the boundaries by looking at the fencing and things like that? Just making things really, really easy for yourself, yeah? The fuse board, not the switchboard. Check out the fuse board. It's really important to make sure these things are modern and that it's isolated. It helps with insurance. It helps with mortgageability. It's just really good quality, okay? Important things. Here are some details that beginners miss, right? The tenancy type slides right on over into protected tenancy. Unless it says, you're a residential property buyer, unless it says AST, assured short hold tenancy agreement, then it may come under a protected tenancy. You have assured tenants, right? Which is the almost kind of, the part of the AST bit. But the bit it's missing is short hold. Short hold is really important because it means that tenancy is valid for a minimum 6 months, maximum of 12, or whatever the tenancy says. Assured means that they have the assured ability to remain in that property so long as they pay the rent, right? Then you have regulated tenants, which are paying a disproportionately lower rent because they've been there for X number of years and they have to keep the property in good condition, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got live tenants who pay you nothing but have to maintain the property in good condition. Yeah. So really, really focus on the tenancy type. Also, if you're looking at commercial property, is it a mere license? Is it an FRI lease? Is it an IRI lease? Really kind of figuring out, does it have the bells and braces in there? Is it cap and collar rates? Looking at all these different types of things is really important. Looking at the boundaries is super important, not just when you're viewing the property, but when you're looking at the paperwork, yeah? Looking at that lease plan, looking at the title plan, double checking what is on the market being sold is what you're buying here. If there's a discrepancy, have a look in one of the transfer documents, because it may be that the seller is cutting off part of the garden and selling it off separately or creating access elsewhere. Make sure you are buying what you're buying, yeah, that the things match up. Are there planning restrictions? Or more than that, are there lease restrictions? Does the lease say that you can't convert that flat into an HMO? Do the planning restrictions say that, you're not able to do X, Y, and Z because it infringes on neighboring properties' rights? Are you looking at something that's a flying freehold? These are super, super easy things to miss, the flying freeholds. But, if part of your property is interlocked with another property and it's more than 10 or 15% of the floor plate, it's a flying freehold, and funding those can be quite difficult. And they can be difficult to see unless you know what you're looking for. So pay attention for those. We mentioned this in other parts of this series. Overages and covenants. Are there restrictive covenants restricting you from doing things like developing, like changing use, If you get the planning permission, is there an overage that you have to pay the person a proportion of the profit you're expected to get from that? Making sure you're looking at those. Those will be in the transfer deeds, they'll be in the titles. They can be missed if you're not doing the work. So make sure that you do not overstep any of these details that the majority of beginners miss. Okay, my 3 deal killer questions, right? Is the area strong? Now, that means, is the area strong for value? Is the area strong for transactions? Is it an interesting area that people want to live in? Is it a hub of activity for commercial, for jobs, for things like that? Is the area strong? If it's a super rural location and there's only 2 or 3 buyers that are ever going to be interested in that property, not the best kind of thing to be picking up unless you need to be there for a specific reason. Yeah. Is the property liquid? Are you able to buy this and sell it within 12 months? Right? Very simple question to ask yourself. Why within 12 months, right? Because most people that are buying at auction are using bridging. So can you get the property sold within 12 months? Can you get it refinanced in 6? Can you pull your money out? Can you get a tenant in? Can you refurb it? Is it liquid? Is it moving? Is it going to flow? You don't want to be buying something that's just going to be sticky. Yeah. You see those problems all the time at auction. By order of the mortgagees in possession, someone picked up a sticky deal. Yeah. Is the value add clear? And if you are the type of person that has 1 or 2 different ways that you add value, it should be super clear. You're going to be able to see the ideal property for you just by looking at it and asking yourself, where is it? What is it? You know, those simple questions. Answer those 3 questions, and that will tell you whether you should be doing this deal or not. Yeah. And it will kill 90% of the deals that you're looking at because it focuses you on what's important for you. Yeah. Not just on what looks good or what looks cheap or the what if, the when if, the how if. It's what works for you. Okay. Get all the distraction out of your mind. Go deeper versus walking away. Just go deeper, right? Is it a simple property? Yes. Is the title clean? Yes. Is the motivation clear? Yes. Is there straightforward works? A lick of paint, maybe a new kitchen, changing a bathroom, whatever the story is. If that's yes, then you go deeper. You do more due diligence. You take the next steps, right? And you walk away if the legal pack is incomplete or you feel like something is off or being hidden or the tenancy is unclear, right? It's being sold with the tenant. You don't know if the tenant is staying, if they're going, if they've been served the right notices. Just walk away. You're looking at adding value. Yeah. That's why you go deeper if you can do those things first. Cool. This is our summary. This is the end of part 2. We focused on where deals come from, who we should be buying those deals from, what their motivations are, how to filter lots fast. There are 3,000 to 5,000 properties every month at auction. You can go through them lightning speed, and you don't need to feel overwhelmed that you have to deep dive and due diligence all of them. Okay, we've given you that filter. Viewing priorities, what to look for in a viewing, how to identify things. It's this whole, paying attention to what you don't normally see. By now, you're aware of them now. Now there is no option to go, I wasn't aware. You've gone through this part. You know what you should be looking at. You know what the priorities are. Get it done. Yeah. Hidden deal killers. We've given you the J's 3 questions. If you can't answer those 3 questions, move on. We've also told you, number 5, when to go deeper and when to walk away. But guys, thank you for going all the way through this section, part 2. Join me for part 3.
Okay, guys, so here I just want to show you quickly that you can access this property on EIG, which is the portal for basically accessing all auction properties in the UK. And the interesting features here is you can obviously click on view map and go and see the location of the property, exact location. And also the most interesting feature is the one where you click on street history. And over here, you're able to see the properties that were offered on this street in the auctions in the last 30 years. So as you can see, there was some 2-bedroom flats. There was some other flats being offered. And I will find our property here, which was offered 6 years ago in the auction in Allsop with income of 74,000, being sold by receivers. So someone got in trouble and then repaid their finance, and it sold for just over 1.35 million. So that gives us a lot of data. Whoever is selling this property right now, they bought this property probably in 2019, optimized it, asset managed it, and now they're selling it again. Okay, and one last thing, if you want to have more in-depth information on EIG, we recorded a video and we're sharing the link to that video in the description underneath and this video. So click on this and you can watch the whole thing, half-an-hour video showing how we use EIG on a daily basis.
Part 3 is all about the numbers and the max bid. We're just going to keep this super simple. Because my numbers need to be super simple for them to work. And maybe you're not like me at all. Maybe you love the complex algorithmic stuff. Just keep it simple. So we're going to run through this in a very easy video. You're going to be with me today. Excellent. Okay. One number changes everything, right? And the number that changes everything is the price that you're not willing to pay. Yeah. This is the price that you you bid too much, right? That's the real risk. Overpaying is the real risk. Discipline starts before the auction day. You don't get too emotionally engaged in the property, too motivated, too trying to get the deal done. It's the numbers, it's the facts, it's the figures. Yeah. Setting a maximum bid protects you. And you need the discipline to protect yourself because, as we said earlier on in the series, there is no one coming to rescue you if you pay too much or you buy a lemon. It's not going to happen. So now we put the fear of God into you all. Let's go on to the next step. Let's cheer this up a little bit. Yeah. We've talked about this before, but it's important to get the mindset in place here. Yeah. The price guide is a trap. The price of the guide is a marketing tool. It's designed to get you in. Yeah. It's designed to make you look at the property. It's designed to create competition, and it's often set well below expectation. Okay, that's well below your expectation. That's well below the seller's expectation. It's well below the auctioneer's expectation. The expectation is that there's going to be competition, there's going to be bidding, and the property is going to sell well. The guide does not equal value. Okay, just really focus on that. You know, wake up in the morning, stand in front of the mirror and say, I'm strong, I'm brave, I'm beautiful. And the guide does not equal the value. Okay. Set it as a mantra. Okay. It's so important. The number of people that talk about the guide price. If the property's in the right area, you know, what is it? Where is it? All of that kind of stuff. You figure out the price at the end. Don't be motivated by the numbers. Okay. Reserve price reality, right? The reserve is the minimum acceptable price. It's usually above the guide. Some auctioneers, the guide and reserve is the same price. Some auctioneers, they guide the property here, they reserve it below, and they create an expectation that the reserve is above, right? Can you move on the property before or on the day of the auction? Yeah. That's what reserves do. Reserves can move. Guide prices can move. These are not things that are fixed. Yeah. And contrary to public belief, they don't move based on the level of interest or pre-auction offers. They generally move when a vendor is nervous, they're scared, they're motivated, and they don't know what's going to happen. So they try and protect their position by moving those prices. Has nothing to do with you as the buyer, has everything to do with their situation, their motivation. Okay. The reserve is never disclosed up front. Okay. It's not a number you need to know. What you need to know is what you're willing to pay. And this is one of the best things that's done for you as the buyer. By not knowing what the reserve is, you are free to make a decision based on your own values, what matters to you in the deal. Okay. Do not anchor yourself, your mindset, or your price to the guide price, to 10% within the guide price. Focus on what it's worth and just try and win it for as little below that as possible, right? Why buyers overpay? These are in no particular order, okay? But emotion is a common one, yeah? There, you know, maybe you own the property next door, you own 3 on the street, or you haven't done a deal for a while and you want to do a deal and you want to get going, blah, 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 emotional, right? Those are the wrong reasons to bid and buy on a property. Ego, yeah? You may tell yourself that you are the premier buyer in Bolton and this property is in Bolton and it needs to be in your portfolio. And ego tells you that you should win it, yeah? And there are competition triggers. Who likes to be called a loser? Who likes to be a loser? Who likes to lose in general? And that's what auction does. It creates winners, and by default, it creates losers. You'll overpay if you prepare poorly. If you don't do thorough due diligence, you don't review the legal pack, you don't view the property, you don't ask yourself the right questions before you ask anyone else any questions. And then you have your blind spots, right? The things you don't know that you don't know. You don't know if something's standard or non-standard construction. You don't know if there is a boundary dispute. You don't know what type of tenants in place because you haven't done the due diligence, or you don't know the difference between regulated and assured and all those different bits and pieces that we mentioned before. You don't know what you don't know. So you need to make yourself as comfortable as possible in the transaction. You need to do as much due diligence as possible. You need to reduce those blind spots. You need to give yourself a 360-degree view, right? And the reality is calm buyers win. And we'll be going through that in a bit, but calm buyers always win. A deep breath will save you thousands and thousands of pounds. This is your maximum bid formula. I said it was going to be simple. I said it was going to be basic because at the end of the day, I'm a bit simple and a bit basic. Your maximum bid, yeah, this is it, right? Equals what the GDV, what the gross value of the property is. And you've got your comparables. You know it's roughly between 230 and 250, for instance. Then you take all of the costs and your profit, what you're expecting, whether it's your 10% profit, 20% profit, 30% return on cost, whatever metric madness we're enslaved to, you take that and you remove it, right? Now, this is what goes into the numbers. What is the real GDV? GDV isn't just something that's retained for developers, yeah? What is the gross development value of this property? If it's worth 250 and you're trying to buy it at 180, you can now start working the figures, yeah? From real comparables. What is the comparable market evidence here? What are the refurb costs? And when I put in here, be conservative, conservative doesn't mean, I'm not going to account for this, I'm not going to account for that. Conservative means account for everything, yeah? Make the refurb costs as ugly as possible, because if you're ever going to get bit, it's likely to be bit there, okay? So be a little bit dramatic with the refurb costs. The legal and auction fees. If you've done your due diligence, you will see, are there any fees in the legal pack? What fees is my solicitor asking for me to review the legal pack and do the exchange and completion? What are those costs? The ever increasing, the ever ugly stamp duty needs to be in consideration unless there is an exception to the stamp duty rule that you're able to apply. That means you're either limiting or removing the stamp duty entirely. Finance costs. This means that you have to speak to somebody about the finance before you bid. Right? We do a lot of work with the Roma Finance guys. There is likely going to be a link in the description of the video. You reach out to those guys. I'm looking to buy lot 57 from the next Auction House London auction, or the next Allsops, the next Savills, the next Barnmarkers, whichever one it is. And I need to know what my costs are going to be if I paid X for the property. This is how you know how much you're going to be buying it for. Add a contingency, and do not ever forget your profit margin, because the reality is you're not a charity. Most of us are not. And if you have charity status, then forget the rest of this. You're absolutely fine. But you're going to need a margin, right? That profit margin needs to be either equity that's going to enable you to refinance the property out, or it's going to be you taking money out of that deal so you can go and do the next deal, right? It's not always cash in the bank, but the profit margin needs to be there. And this is a worked example, yeah? The GDV, let's call it, the flat is worth £220,000. You remove all of the costs, legal pack costs, stamp duty, refurb costs, and your profit. We're calling that £64,000. This now means, including your, making sure that you've got that buffer in there as well. This means your maximum bid is £156,000. Now, you have to treat that as absolute gospel. That £156,000 is an immovable figure in terms of this figure does not go up. By all means, if something else comes out and you second guess something, it may go down to £152,000. It doesn't go up. Okay. Pre-auction offers. So pre-auction offers work. They do. And every time I tell people buying something pre-auction is not the best thing to do, they come up with a really obscure story as to how they got a great deal pre-auction. Yeah. Well, it can work if the seller is motivated enough. Yeah. It can be clean. It has to be a fast offer. But I'll tell you, the majority of pre-auction offers are where the buyer is paying a privilege to remove that property from the auction, or where there is no significant interest in the property and you could have won it for less in the room. Okay, they work. But it tends to fail when you try and steal the property and when the seller is not motivated. What I mean by trying to steal the property is when you've gone so far in the lowball era that you're never going to get that agreed pre-auction. But you are likely to have better luck in the room, or most often you're going to find you're going to have a better time post-auction. We'll be talking about that as well. But this is pre-auctions, right? The best offer is normally the auction day maximum price that you've set. Okay, pre-auction, there's a bit of an illusion there, so don't get too sucked up into that either. Okay, so avoid emotional bidding. It's a 5-step process. Yeah, write down your maximum bid. You have no idea how powerful it is, not just having a number in your mind, but having something written down that you can look at and focus on and go, right, that's my maximum bid. You're not getting confused by what the auctioneer is saying. You're not getting confused by other people bidding. That number is set in stone. It's written in front of you. And keep it in front of you. Like, don't pin it to your head, but put it onto the front of your laptop or your phone or somewhere it's not going to be difficult to miss. Bid at your speed. The auctioneer is going to change the speed. Other bidders are going to change the speed. Stay constant. Stay resolute. Don't be motivated by your emotion. Breathe. Ignore the other bidders. You have no idea how important this is. The reality is, the more attention you pay to these other bidders, the more competitive you're going to become with them. Yeah? If you ignore them and what they're doing, you're focusing on your game. Now, the reality is that some of them are going to burn out early doors. They're going to overbid. They're going to get scared. They're going to behave a certain way. They're just going to discount themselves from the race. And there are others who are just going to be paying way more than you. You have to come to terms with that before you even bid, right? Always, always, always stop at your number, if not an increment lower. Yeah. Show that you have that discipline. And the chances are, if you're stopping at your number, you're stopping at the increment under that number, and someone's going to bid you over, or you're going to win it at a good price. The thing that you have to remember, and it's universal, there will always be another deal. I said 3,000 to 5,000 properties are going to auction every single month. I guarantee you, if this wasn't the right one, the next one will come along. Yeah. So we have the summary here. Why guides are misleading, how the reserves actually work, focusing on that maximum bid, staying disciplined, and understanding how pre-auction offers work. Do not drive yourself crazy, okay? Do not get emotionally involved in this. Stay disciplined, stick with the numbers, understand how the offers and the guides and reserves work. But remember that actually, once you have your number fixed and you've done your due diligence, the rest is all down to you to make mistakes on, not anybody else. Part 4 is the auction day strategy. Now, if you have been following us for a while, you will know that in 2019, we wrote this book, Before the Hammer Falls. Has an entire chapter on what to look out for in the auction room, who to talk to, who to pay attention to, figuring out who's bidding against you, what their motives are. So much psychology. Okay, that chapter's gone when we wrote this one last year, because there are very, 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 very few auction rooms left. But you still need an auction day strategy because it's online, whether it's a bidding widget, whether it's an auctioneer on a video via hybrid, you're going to see it, right? So the auction day is super psychological. It is fast, it's loud, it's pressured. It is designed not just for your mistakes, but for everybody to make a mistake. Because once you are pushed outside of your standard operating parameters, not that you're a robot, but once you're taken outside of your comfort zone, you will make mistakes. So your edge in an auction day is always going to be calm, consistent execution of what you know needs to happen. Okay. Now, these are the auction formats. We're only talking about real auctions that kind of fall within the definition of an auction. So this won't include the modern method, which is certainly not an auction. But here are the auction formats. There are 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 auctioneers in the country that still hold an in-room auction. You can go and sit there, you can grab a paddle, you can waste a day, you can go there and you can do that. It is nowhere near as good as it was pre-COVID. Those days are gone. Then you have the online, eBay style. Just click the button, click the button, click the button. Yeah. Then you have the hybrid. You're still clicking a button, but you now have a person in a suit shouting numbers at you. Okay. There are rights, there are wrongs, there are pros, there are cons. It's always binding. It's always fast. And we're going to go into how to make this work for you. Right. We're going to go through the basic, right? What is the auctioneer's job? Like I said, they got a hammer and they're shouting numbers at you. But that's what they're doing. But their real job is simple. It's really 4 points are essential for the actual auctioneer on the day. Create momentum, create competition, make decisions move quickly, speed up those decisions, keep you out of your comfort zone, and use pressure cues. You'll hear things like, oh, Mr. J, I thought you had that, but Mr. K came along and you're not going to let him win it for another £500. Or, oh, this other bidder's entered the room. Creating these environments that kind of remove you from, I'm in control here, I'm making decisions here. That's what they do. But now you have an awareness of this, you've increased your bidding power. You can kind of see what's going on. Okay. Super, super valuable slide. Do not skip this. Pay very close attention to what's been said. Bidding framework, my specific bidding framework. Okay. Do not bid early, right? There's no benefit here in being the first to bid. Being premature, being the first one to, early adopt means nothing in an auction. Sit and wait. Okay. Let others reveal themselves and see how they bid, right? It's a bit like poker. The flop comes out, who's kind of raised pre-flop, who's checked, who looks nonchalant. You don't need to see people to see how their bidding behavior is operating and what kind of motivations you can draw from that. Enter late into the bidding and do it with confidence. Auctioneers actively provide you with this opportunity. Bidding is going once, twice, third and final warning, bid, right? Don't do it on the third and final. It annoys the Christ out of me. But you can bid. They give you the time. And even before they do that third and final, they'll still give you an extra couple of seconds to make that bid before it goes down. That can give you the ability to control increments, right? If it's a £2,000 bid and the auctioneer is doing a third and final count, but you're online, you're making yourself aware, you're moving your mouse tracker around the screen so they can see that you're there, they may drop it down to a £1,000 increment or from £1,000 to 500. So by making sure that you're there and there's still, you giving the auctioneer the belief that there is one person who's going to make one more bid, they will drop the increment and you can win it for £1,000 less. There's that opportunity. So take that advice. It is going to change the way you bid at auction. So it's not just a case of, let's go back. It's not a case of just bidding early or entering in late with confidence. It's a case of knowing when to enter. The energy drops, right? The frequency of bidding drops. The auctioneer looks like he's trying to pull people back into the bidding. He's using competitive language. The increments have started to drop. There's hesitation. You can hear when the auctioneer is talking to people. This is on the live stream, obviously. You can hear when he's talking, trying to engage them and bring them back, right? That's the auctioneer is doing those prompts manually. You will see these things happen with the bidding widget as well, because every time there's a bid, you'll be notified. The number changes. You can see your bidder 6, bidder 5 is bid, bidder 3 is bid, bidder 1 is bid. And you can actually see it's time stamped. This is when they last made a bid. It was 60 seconds ago. It was 72 seconds ago. You're seeing in real time the distance between those bids, people becoming less and less sure of the price that they're willing to pay. When you start to see that hesitation, when you start hearing more and more of those prompts, when the increments start to go down, that's your moment to head in, right? So how to bid properly? If you're in the room, bid clearly, obviously. Make sure that someone can see you. The reality is most of those rooms are empty. You're going to be one of 3 or 4 people. They will be able to see you, don't worry. Pause intentionally, If there is, you're bidding online or via the bidding widget, see what the average length of bid is and just take a little bit longer. If it's the auctioneer, make the auctioneer work a little bit for that bid, right? But if you're looking to create momentum to push the other bidders out, obviously your pause intentionally isn't there. It's attack, attack, attack. Okay? Ignore the emotional bidders and you'll tell which ones are emotional because it'll be knee-jerk reactions, yeah? If the average bid time goes from 30 seconds a bid to 12 seconds a bid and it's 2 people fighting each other, just ignore them and stick to your number. It's so important. Staying calm under pressure. How do you zen yourself into the right kind of situation? Step number 1. The property is only yours when you win it. Do not go into the bidding environment or into the auction thinking that this property is yours because you've done this work, you've spent this money, you've spent this time. Detach yourself from the outcome. Yeah? Remember to breathe. Do what I'm not doing when I'm recording this. I keep forgetting to breathe. You have to breathe. You have to create, and that breathing isn't just going, it's giving yourself a chance to step back and look at it, yeah? If you're in the room, ignore what other people are doing in the room. It means nothing. And follow the plan that you've set for yourself, right? From the advice that we've given you here. Follow the plan. Stick to the price. So we're moving on to unsold lots. This is where there are some great opportunities. There's less competition, right? Because either there was no one bidding on them or people that were going to look at them had bought something else in the room. The vendor's expectations are lowered somewhat, right? They had a price in mind. It didn't get to that price. Now you can come in with the correct expectation. Maybe they wanted 180, but your maximum bid was 165. So you go in at 165. Maybe there's a deal to be done there. And it's a private negotiation. It's a negotiation that you have there that you don't have pre-auction or during the auction, right? Post-auction, if you need 6 weeks to complete, you can ask for 6 weeks to complete or 8, there are ways of negotiating that don't always include price, but are sometimes better structured to give you better chances for your solicitor to do all the work that's necessary. Going to get you a better rate with the finance if you can complete in 8 weeks instead of 4. All of these things need to be considered, but nonetheless, you stay within your maximum bid. Okay, part 4, the summary. How auctions really run. We've now pulled back the curtain and said it's not just a case of someone shouting numbers at you. You now know what the motivations are of the auction, what the task of the auctioneer is. You can see it. When to bid, we've told you. Don't jump in early doors. Pay attention to the motivations and the movements of the other bidders and jump in at the right moment. How to stay calm. Breathe, for Christ's sake. Breathe. It's so important. Take a step back. Take a sip of tea, coffee, whatever it is that you have. Don't rush. Don't be rushed. And how to approach unsold lots. How to exploit an inefficiency. Something inefficient happened for that property not to sell. Was it not marketed correctly? Was it not priced correctly? Was the motivation not clear? Was the added value not clear? How do you exploit that inefficiency? To everyone's benefit, how do you get the deal done? The seller wants to sell, you want to buy. The auctioneer wants the deal to happen. So you're exploiting it to the positive. Excellent. Part 4 finished. Hopefully you guys will now know how to bid, how to stay calm, and what the motivations and the activity of the auction is really for.
But I heard
We're joining the bidding here. Jasmine Court. This is the one that we reviewed with our 60-second filter. It's the one that
And
we
50.
put through DocuWise, and it's the one
50 on the phone.
It's
It's on the phone. He beat you to 50 and 60.
someone's on
It's against you online. Make it 60 and 60 and 70.
If you've been watching our reviews of different auctioneers before, I pick just 10 random lots and we go through it. There are big changes between Auction House London, big changes between
Million four, if you will. 1 million for 1 million four back in.
dropped as well.
10.
Very, very different styles of
410,
getting the
420.
bidding. So
420. I want 430 on the phone. Make it 440.
A little bit more stoic, a little bit more still.
440.
We're
On the phone for now. 1,430. 440
moment.
online and 50. And 50 on the phone.
I like this little thing at the top of the awesome thing, like residential auction.
70 on the phone.
Sold so far, 27 million.
70 on the phone and 80.
Like it.
And 80 online and 90. And 90 on the phone. New bidder actually, and 90. Make it 1,000,005. On the phone at 1,490,000. Make it 1,000,005. It's a strange place to stop. There's a long list of you there. It's against you initials SL and BR.
It's a strange
bids on the phone, 1,490,000. First time
round figure
at 1,490,000.
very subtle.
Second time at 1,490,000. Make it 1,000,005 for Rotherhithe New Road. For the third and final time,
He's giving
I
a hit.
really want to have to take 5.
Is he going hard?
I thought 1,490,000. Give me 10 more. Okay, I'll take 5
There you go. It's dropping the increment down.
at 1,495,000. What does that tell you? They're running out of money, so bid me 5 more. It's against you on the phone.
There you go. Competition
Two
created.
of you trying to bid at the
Running
same
out of
time.
money.
So
This next
initial
bid will win it for you for sure.
BR, it's not your bid. I've got 1,495,000. It's actually against you. The bid's online, but against you and against you on the phone. First time at 1,495,000. Bid me 5 more. Second time at 1,495,000. For the third and final time at 1,495,000 for lot 30. Rotherhithe New. You did leave that late. 1,000,005 I've got now.
I do like it.
Against you online. The bid's 1,000,005. It's still against you on the phone as well. I'll take 5 more. So close to missing out. First time then at 1,000,005. Second time at 1,000,005. So the third and final time at 1,500,000. Are we all done? I'm going to sell, so don't delay online.
He is selling.
Essentially warning there at 1,000,005. Sold at 1,000,005.
So the guide price on that was 1.4 and it sold for 1.5. And by the way he was running that bidding, that tells me 1.5 was the reserve. So it sold bang on reserve, 1.5 against £108,000 worth of income. Part 5. You think it's over, you've won the property, but now it wins. Now this is it. You've won the property. This is not the time where you sit back and relax, right? Winning isn't the hard part here. Completion is where the majority of people fail. You don't fail at the point you win the property. You've won, right? There's an oxymoron there. You won the property. Where you fail is getting from exchange to completion. Panicking and being silent is what will kill the deal. It's what will lose you money. So let's remove all of that and make you really, really good at getting to completion. So after the hammer falls, this is what happens. The contracts are exchanged. The deposit is paid. The completion is already in the legal pack. You're going to expect it to be 20 working days or 28 days, or if varied by the special conditions. You're going to know what that is. The legal pack is final. When that gavel goes down, it is based on that legal pack at that moment. There is nothing else that's coming, right? Unless they say they've ordered searches and the searches haven't arrived. But it will say that in the legal pack. This is execution only. This is all you now have to do is take what is known, these 4 bits which are known, and you have to get through to the end. That's it. Or is it that simple? It's never that simple. It never is. So this is what should already be done. Your ID is verified. You've already got an offer from the finance company. It's been discussed. You know, there's already pricing. It's already agreed. Your solicitor's already appointed. Perhaps they reviewed the legal pack. Perhaps you use DocuWise. Your funds are already arranged. Post-auction is not for preparation, right? Post-auction is for getting it done. The first 24 hours, call the solicitor. Literally call them until they pick up. Call them until the battery runs out on your phone. Call them. The auctioneers are going to send the memorandum of sale to you, to the seller's solicitor, and to your solicitor. Confirm the next steps with your lender. This is really important. In that first day, I've won this property, right? The offer of lending is now being crystallized into a loan being written, right? Book a valuation if needed and confirm the completion date. You need to do that. All of that, I mean, we say the first 24 hours, but this needs to be within moments of getting this deal done. You don't need to talk to anyone apart from people that you are paying. These are people that should be picking up the phone to you. You're paying your solicitor, you're paying your broker, your lender, whoever. These are things that are very easy to do. You're the client, they have to respond to you. You cannot wait for them to do these things for you. And speed matters. Getting the ball rolling, 20 days will fly by. 28 days, if you include the weekends, will fly by. So make sure this stuff gets done super, super quickly. Here are some common post-auction mistakes. People try to renegotiate, they bought something, now they read the legal pack. Now they start going, oh, I wasn't aware of this. Can we move? No. It's gone. It's done. It's over. Go silent. Bury your head in the sand. Get bidder's remorse, right? You bought, now you don't know what to do. Now you committed, and commitment is scary for a lot of people, right? You respond slowly. Do not respond slowly. If anything, you need to be proactively, actively chasing everybody. Finance delays. To be honest, the finance delays generally come from going silent and slow responses and underestimating the liability. Once that hammer goes down, before they've sent you the paperwork, the hammer is the fall of the gavel. That's the exchange of contracts. The actual sending of the contracts is perfunctory. It's just a nice thing that they do. The gavel was the fall of the hammer. The hammer falling is the exchange of contracts under UK law. So waiting for that paperwork to come over and not getting it for a couple of hours doesn't mean you haven't exchanged yet. You exchanged once the auctioneer told you exchanged. And the liability of not performing under that contract, very expensive. Now, finance after the auction. Do you need a valuation, or are they lending to you on desktop, right? If they need the valuation, you need to liaise with the auctioneer to gain access to the property. Yeah. You've ordered it, you've arranged it, the final documents are requested, the offer is issued. Your job is to respond fast and chase. This isn't going to happen naturally. I mean, it will happen naturally, but if you're not chasing, you will fall to the bottom of that pile. You are not a bottom of the pile person. To be at the top, you have to chase. Then you have the legal reality, right? The administrative process. There is no renegotiation. There is no reinvestigation, right? The problems that come from post-auction always come from delay, always come from trying to change things, always come from not knowing which solicitor you're using, not knowing which lender you're using, not knowing, when the tenant is leaving, not being able to get access. All of these things are realities that people tend to ignore. So you need to get over those things by being proactive. Adding value after completion, the refurb, the change of use, the lease work. We do a lot of commercial property purchasing. So a lot of our stuff is either change of use or lease work, right? Are you doing title optimization? Are you doing a flip or refinance? What are your motivations to get you through the deal? Remember, at the point, you will profit at the point of purchase. The price you pay is what will be building in your profit. You then realize that later by taking the necessary steps, taking the necessary actions, and getting to the point where you've increased that value. You've done that value add. Now you can take the benefit of it. So we've kept this super, super simple. Part 5 summary is pretty much done, right? Number 1, what really happens post-auction, the steps you need to take. Why deals fail. We've said if you're not chasing, you're not responding quickly, you're not on top of things, it will fail. No one is going to do that job for you. Okay? How to complete cleanly. Just having a good solicitor that's switched on, making sure that everything is lined up, the funding, everything is sorted. And how value is realized, right? Once you get to that completion, do you already have the workman arranged to go in the day after completion, once you have the keys, to do the tear out or to do the refurb or to do the clearance? Are you being efficient with how you're doing things? Efficiency post completion adds to your profit, not removes from it. So be super, super organized. And if we were going to end this 5-part series on any point, it is going to be on being organized. Okay, this is the final wrap up to our 5-part buying guide, a dummies buying guide at auction. Okay, this is the final wrap up. Okay, this is what you need to know, and we've given you all of these videos, they're all out here. But how auctions work, how to spot deals, how to price risk, how to bid calmly, and how to complete a deal, a transaction safely. And we've got these 5 videos on the channel now for you to watch, to review, to get on board with, and to really, this is all designed to make sure that you don't make any unnecessary mistakes, because the mistakes are there to be made. The blind spots are there for everybody. And even for us, every day is a learning day. We encounter things all the time that either we haven't seen or come out of the blue, and we're always kind of learning and building and growing from that. So this is your opportunity to really take this 5-part series as a catalyst and really get comfortable with buying at auction. But here are your first next steps. It's homework, essentially. Choose one auction house, any auctioneer you want. There's 300 plus. I'd pick one that does a minimum of 50 lots, maybe in a region where you operate, or maybe one of the big London operators. Pick an auctioneer, pick 5 lots that you think are interesting, and review them in the way that we've shown you to review them. Apply that 60-second filter. Read at least one legal pack. So from the 5 that we review, you're going to get down to one that you're going to be interested in. You want to kind of look and see what actually happens. Read and review that legal pack. Get a DocuWise credit and get a review so it'll point out what you should be looking at. Yeah. Watch the auction live. If it's a bidding widget, if it's the auctioneer yelling numbers on the screen, if it's going in person, get there, watch it happen, get comfortable with that environment, get comfortable with those outcomes. These kind of actions are the steps that are going to take what you've learned, make them applicable, and give you the best chance to build up a knowledge and experience and a comfort with the process that's going to make buying auction for you far cleaner, far simpler, and far more profitable. So my final messages are: auctions rewards you being prepared and you being disciplined. They punish emotion and ignorance. Well, you're no longer ignorant. You might be emotional, but at least you're going to be prepared and disciplined. Don't be emotional. You're no longer ignorant. We've given you the tools to become prepared, and we've told you that discipline is what is rewarded above all else. So thank you very much for joining us. Stay prepared, stay disciplined, and buy well. And we wish you the best of luck. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, right? It's a very small thing that you can do, but by liking it means that other people are going to see it. That means less people making mistakes. If you comment, by all means, we respond to your comments. We'll answer questions. We can help you buy at auction. We can help you sell at auction. And if you are subscribed, it means that you'll be notified when these videos come out. It'll be the one thing you look forward to every single week of your life with any luck. So like, comment, share, and we look forward to you joining us again soon.